Hi, it's been an interesting season, and it's a good time for me to talk about my grinder, scratter. This is a Zambelli Muli mix. I bought it about 10 years ago, so I've had it for quite a while. It's a 240 volt version. I understand the new ones are 110, 120 volt, and it's rated to have quite a bit of throughput. This is the Muli mix, not the Muli Max. But the first year I got it, it was stellar. And I distinctly remember that when I was cleaning it, I cut my hand just touching the blades. Big point, huge. Last season, I had a horrible time processing fruit. I could not get anything through this. It just spun around. It didn't cut anything. And then a follower got in touch with me and said, what gives? He has the same problems. What it appears is that these are 304 stainless blades, a metal not known for keeping an edge, and the blades get dull. So my first thing I should have been doing, and I strongly recommend to you, is that you need to have the blade sharpened at the beginning of every season. Before you get out there, find a good sharpening shop, preferably run by a machinist or someone who does nothing but sharpening for a living, and have them sharpen. They call them the knives, the blades, call them what you like. Get them sharpened. These blades are beveled to a flat on one side. If you let them get too dull, properly sharpened, they're going to have to push that whole ramp back until it touches this point. So the duller they get, the more metal comes off to sharpen them again. So you really don't want them to get really dull. You can buy replacement blades, and they're about $60 a set. My recommendation is keep both sets really sharp, so when you're in the middle of processing and it seems like the blades are getting dull, you don't have to go out and get them sharpened and wait maybe a week or two. You swap the blades, get back to work. More coming on that. But let's take a look together inside of here and see what I am talking about and what you need to pay attention to. Now, to open this up, you've got two nuts. They're going to come off, or bolts rather. You'll notice that one bolt has got a pin machined into the end of it. Never lose that bolt because that's what's your safety interlock. You probably recognize this. This screen is what makes sure that the particles are at least as small as the holes before it allows them to get ejected. Meh. All right, this bottom blade here, this is the impeller blade. As the stuff gets chopped up, the apples, the fruit, whatever you're doing, it's going to fall down to here and it's going to get thrown against this and sent out. These two blades here, this horizontal blade and this blade, mine are really beat up. I took the new blades to the shop to be sharpened. These blades, but I can see nicks in here. There's been a lot of trauma in here. This blade's been bent by an enthusiastic customer. I don't lend out my grinder anymore. But you need to take them off, and you got to make sure that these edges are sharp to the flat. Okay, sharp to the flat. Not a lot of shops are going to want to have to deal with these blades, the blade that faces up. As the fruit hits it, this is when the blades are sharp, it will reduce it so these can finish the job and this can throw it out. But you should not see any blunt edges on here. And if you've ever looked at a knife, if you can see shiny light against the edge, the very leading edge of the blade, that's a dull spot. It's got to go. But you only want to sharpen this side and you're going to end up working it back. A machinist will do it right. You're going to have to make quite an investment to get a jig that will maintain this bevel all the way back. But if you just try to cut down on that bevel and not honor this edge here so it goes all the way back, it's just going to go dull on you again. Do I need to sharpen them often? Yes, they're 304 stainless. That's a lousy stainless. Well, it's a good stainless, just not a good cutting stainless. It's not meant for knives and cutlery. So there you have, there's the root cause for your what's otherwise a good machine performing poorly. I have, because I don't own a Spedal, I don't know. I like their design a lot. Instead of having blades going out like gull wings, they have sort of a pyramid shape. So as the fruit gets pushed down against it, it's not spreading the blades. Mechanically, I think that's a better design. But I don't know the material, but I can only just say, if you don't have sharp blades, you're not going to get good performance out of any processor, out of any machine. Now, I talked to a heat treatment shop near here that my machinist uses about the idea of hardening these. And the first bit of feedback is you cannot harden a 300 series stainless steel. So you can't sharpen them and take them to the hardening shop. You can, starting at the 400 series, yes, you can harden them. All right. Now we're talking about money because you're talking about custom manufacturing knives, blades. But he also recommended quite a few other materials, steels. The thing that would be is when you're done cleaning, the blades have to be thoroughly washed, and you're going to put a food safe oil on them with no moisture to keep them from corroding. You're not going to be able to leave that blade in there unprotected between sessions. So the whole idea, I'll clean up when I go home, no, you'll destroy your blades that you invested in. The other thing he mentioned to me was, though, if you have a set of these blades made and hardened, really hardened, they will hold an edge for an incredibly long period of time unless you're hitting the metal on metal, whatnot, because you are kind of making a turning blade. However, when it comes time that you do want to sharpen them again, they will be very difficult to sharpen because they are very hard now. And you'll have to find a shop that uses a diamond tool to draw a new edge onto them. So there's a consequence to hardening the blade, is it makes it more difficult for them to be sharpened. You can't just use a whetstone like you did before. It won't scratch them. So to the point, if you're having slow performance on your grinder, your scratter, check to make sure your blades are sharp. I mean, really, really sharp. And I strongly recommend having them sharpened by a professional. I've seen a lot of people muck about with blades and they mess them up. You don't want to do that. If you let a blade get too dull, they're going to start pushing back and you're not going to have a left backbone. I know one person who was using Zambelli, and they were using Arkansas Black, I believe it was, and it was hard enough, it was damaging the blades. I mean, the apples were hard. So don't think that just because they're apples that they're soft. They're not. They're hard, and you're doing a lot fast. So you need really sharp blades, and you need to expect them to get dull as long as you're using a material that is not hard. And 304 stainless, by all comparison, is not hard. So I've talked a lot. I hope this works, and I hope you feel a bit smarter about it. By and large, I have no regrets buying this machine. I'm just learning about it. What I told you is not in the manual. Okay. Um, so I'll leave you with that little nugget to chew on. If you have one, get the blade sharpened, especially off season. Get the blade sharpened, and I mean, cut your finger touching it sharp. I'm going to take a chance. These blades are rough. I can feel it. They are rough. They are dull. So what I've really got are baseball bats spinning around, hitting fruit. So my one set of blades is at the shop right now. Don't expect to get it till next week. I'm not going to try processing fruit with these blades. It's a waste of my time. So that's it. Stay sharp. Have a great season. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.